Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I am a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you are absolutely in love with. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be chatting about the one thing that has been a thorn in my side, and I'm sure so many other salon owners are struggling with, and that is finding the perfect booking system. I have been a salon owner for the last 14 years, and I've tried 4 different booking systems, and I want to chat about all of these systems today to really open up your eyes if you are a salon owner who is thinking about switching booking systems, to really get you to understand that there is no perfect booking system. I have been so frustrated, I would say, in the last year or so with booking system options. So I've kind of been on a hunt for the perfect system. I really want to go over the systems that I've used to give you a clear understanding of my perspective on the systems that I have found most useful, the pros and cons of each system I've tried, and to really help you understand that as a salon owner, you need to really understand what your business needs before you decide to switch booking systems. I am here to tell you today that there is no perfect booking system. You need to find a system that really fits the business needs that you have, and you really need to understand what those needs are. If you are thinking about switching booking systems, I am going to challenge you to look at your current booking system and write down your favorite things and the things that are a non-negotiable for your business with the current booking system that you have, so that if you decide to start this process, you know how to ask the right questions and you understand what you do and you do not want for your business. And the only way that's going to happen is if you do the work and you truly dive into everything that you need to in order to make an educated decision on if there is a right booking system for you that's out there, or if you should honestly just stay with the system that you have. Are you ready to take your salon to the next level without all the guesswork? I'm excited to introduce the launch of the Salon Owner Blueprint, the ultimate program designed to help you build, grow, and sustain a thriving salon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to fine-tune your existing business, this comprehensive blueprint covers everything you need for success, from creating a solid business structure to mastering your marketing and streamlining your hiring process, to building client loyalty, improving team earning potential, and managing operations seamlessly. The Salon Owner Blueprint literally has it all. If you're ready to stop putting out fires and to start running your salon with confidence and clarity, then the Salon Owner Blueprint is for you. Enroll today by clicking the link in the show notes or heading to www.opulentbeautypro.com/blueprint. It's time to create a salon you're proud of and to start building the business of your dreams. Over the last 14 years, I've tried Square, Vagaro, Zenoti, and most recently, I've decided to switch to Boulevard. Each one comes with its pros and cons, and today I want to break down my experience with each and every one of them. So first, I want to start with Vagaro. Vagaro has honestly been one of the easiest systems for me and my team to use. It has been the system that I have used the longest inside of my salon. I would say out of those 14 years, I've used Vagaro for 12 years. And recently, I would say within the last year, it's been a little glitchy and it has given me a headache with the amount of issues that have come up since using the system. I want to say I started using Vagaro when I was an independent stylist about 16 years ago. And at that time, online booking was very new in our industry. So it was a really great resource for me as an independent stylist when I needed to do all the things for my business. And it was honestly one of the only booking systems that had an app on your phone that had online booking. And I just decided to move that system right over to when I opened a salon. And to be honest, it was great for the first 10 years of salon ownership. It literally has everything that my business needed. And currently still is the most robust system for the price point. It is very easy to set up. It's super easy to navigate. The reporting is strong. You can literally access the reports right from your phone, which is incredible. And I absolutely miss that. The permissions are customizable. The appointment setup is flexible. The app itself is really great. I love that you can see everyone's schedule on the app. So if you are a salon owner like me who books appointments for your team, outside of the salon, I answer a lot of messages via Facebook Messenger and through other ways that we're marketing. So in itself, the app is unbeatable out of all of the systems that I've used. It is something that is super easy for your team to utilize. You can see everything. And I really do miss that with the booking system, especially now with the current system that we are using. You honestly cannot beat the price point for what you get. And I will give Vagaro credit that their back end is probably one of the best that I've ever used, and their customer service is solid. But here's where it fell apart for me. Gosh, there's so many things. There were hidden fees with the credit card processing. I don't care what anyone says. I'd look at my credit card processing and I was like, what is this? So their credit card processing is also something that wasn't flexible like it is with Square. I will just say that when I first started using Vagaro, there was no credit card processing available through the app. So I have always used Square as my credit card processing company. And I want to kind of move off topic for a second and talk about why I love Square so much for credit card processing. Credit card processing is super seamless. It is also something that I cannot live without, which is Square Savings. It will allocate your credit card transactions into separate folders. So it makes savings so easy. And you can also negotiate your rate. So because we have a lot of transactions and we have a very high revenue, it allows us to bring that credit card processing down much lower than your average user. And since I've been using them for so many years, and their payroll is seamless. I have used their payroll for, I would say, probably 12 years, and they make it super easy for you. The one thing that I love about Square is a lot of the payroll companies that I've used in the past will take the taxes out at the end of the month, where Square will take each payroll tax out during that pay period. So I don't have to save all of the taxes until the end of the month, which just helped me in so many ways and helped me really budget and look at my finances. So I will never switch from Square credit card processing. But having the extra processing from other platforms has been really helpful. And I'm going to chat about that when I actually get into Square and why we quit. So we always have used two credit card processing options, which sounds very confusing, but it really isn't. My stylists check out through Vagaro, and there is a separate tab that you can scroll down and use Square as a checkout option. And then they just check the client out through the actual Square credit card processing. When we decided to use the credit card processing through Vagaro, and I was actually looking at the transactions, it just was not clear to me, which was something that was very off-putting. And everything felt like an add-on. Your forms, your marketing features, there was business charges so that your business would show at the top. And the fact that they promote other salons within their booking site was really annoying to me. I don't want my clients to be able to get distracted by a salon that may look better. And to be honest, their online booking was not user friendly. We sent out a survey, and this last survey that we sent out, clients really said that the online booking was very difficult for them, which is what pushed me to actually look into other booking software because I saw that that was affecting my business and it was costing me revenue and costing us new clients. I personally would get very frustrated when I was booking with other businesses who used Vagaro. So I knew it was time to make a change, not to mention all of the glitching that started happening and the constant shutdown of the actual platform from time to time where it would just go out, which again was costing my business money. Appointments would disappear. Things would be turned on that I did not turn on that I would get stuck paying for. Like all of a sudden, our text message marketing would be turned on and I did not turn that on. So how did that happen? There were other things that were happening that were kind of glitchy, as in like there was a capability in Vagaro where you can turn on that your stylists get deductions off of the cost of business. So my stylist paychecks were getting messed up. And that again was something that I did not turn on. So I started to become very frustrated with the glitching that was happening with the system. I'm like, it's time to make a change. So I decided to switch to Square, which we shortly ended up switching back to Vagaro. And I'm going to talk about that as well. But the system going down, and then when they started with the new website called My Site, that's when it was my last straw because people were going to our website, clicking on our book now button, and it would take them to an error 404 page. So clients were not able to book online. And that was so frustrating to me that it just pushed me to start to use another platform. So after Vagaro, we decided to switch to Square. So let's talk about it. Square makes booking so easy for clients. With Vagaro, you need to set up an account, you need to log in, sometimes you need to use their two-factor authentication, and it was just too many steps, which was not a seamless booking experience for our guests. So the fact that you did not have to log into Square to see booking times or to book an appointment was very appealing. And of course, we already use them for so many other things like their payroll, Square Savings. I also loved that Square has the Square loans. So if you need to access funds, if you want to expand, or if you're in a bind for your business and you need cash flow, it literally is right there. And with Square Loans, it is so nice because it will automatically deduct your payment from your transactions, like a small percentage, which I've used time over time. And it has been so helpful over the years, especially when we decided to expand, especially through COVID and those things. So I knew Square was good in those areas. So I had high hopes for Square as a booking system. When we started using Square as a booking system, it was very new and it definitely was not set up for salons, which was a huge disservice to my business. And when Square got bigger, the customer service began to suffer. We had our own Square rep, which was great. If we had any issues or problems, we would contact them directly and they disappeared. So their support was not great, whereas Vagaro's support was and still is absolutely incredible. You can call somebody and you can get your questions answered and they will handle anything that you need them to handle in a very timely manner. And I find with Square, it is not as easy, but I will never go back to Square, and maybe they've improved since I have used them. But the one issue, actually, there were two issues that I had with Square. The first issue, which was a huge red flag for me, and thank God we never canceled our Vagaro. I have always kept Vagaro and only paid the one person fee of $35 to keep client information, to keep formulas, to keep up our reviews. But one of our clients decided to use a fraudulent card to pay an invoice for extensions, and Square froze all of my transactions. I couldn't access any of my savings. I couldn't access any of the revenue coming into my business until they actually escalated it to make sure that it wasn't us who were trying to use a fraudulent card. So That put my business in a huge financial strain. I couldn't access any of our transactions, and all of my money, including my savings, was in Square. It was a very stressful thing to go through, not being able to have access to my money. So, having Vagaro as a backup, being able to check clients out through Vagaro credit card processing, and to be able to access the money coming into the salon, honestly, was a lifesaver. And I'm so glad that I held on to Vagaro and Square at the same time. But that was not the thing that actually pushed me to go back to Vagaro when we were using Square. That was the first thing that I was like, this is not going to work for me, because how do I pay my employees? Like, how do I access my funds? And I think it was like maybe a week process or a week long process to get access to my money. That was just a very stressful time for us. It did end up working out. But what pushed me to not use Square was a random email they sent me. They sent me an email after using the platform for 1 year, and the email was very vague. The only thing that they said was that we've configured your commission wrong for this time period. No explanation, no information, no details. So my manager and I had to go through every single week, everyone's generated revenue, and had to figure out the commission for each one of my team members. This ended up causing me thousands of dollars, because not only did I have to repay the underpaid team members, because that's what you do as a business owner, you do the right thing. But I wasn't going to go to my team and be like, hey, I accidentally overpaid you. Can I have that money back? I just had to eat it, because I was not going to do that to my team members. So after that, I was like, I am done with Square. I'm done, because that is a mistake that I just couldn't look past. And I just had no trust left in that system. And I wanted to make sure that my team was taken care of and that they were paid properly. And I don't know where the error was, why the error happened. We were given no explanation. So then we decided to move back to Vagaro. We transferred over all of the appointments. And I would say we stayed with Vagaro for probably about maybe a year and a half after that. And that's when Vagaro started to become very glitchy. I think for Vagaro, I think they have a great system, and the system just could not handle the amount of customers that they had. And we started to have issues with appointments disappearing, again, issues with things turning on and off. We had issues again with the system being down all the time. And after I sent out the survey for my clients, and clients really expressing that the online booking was not something that was user friendly, I understood that Vagaro was no longer something that was going to be useful to my business. So I started doing my research. I started looking into other booking systems with my friend Shelly, and that's when we stumbled on Zenoti, which sounded so great in theory. On paper, this system looked great. It had an AI bot, messaging all in one place, a phone included in the booking system, so my team could access the clients via message, and my management team could answer the phone from home, so they didn't have to come in if it was slow. And the actual phone recorded phone calls. All of the messages and communication were each in the client's individual files, so you can see communication very clearly for all of the clients coming in, which allowed me not having to actually rely on our salon cell phone, which would get brought home by my manager sometimes. But if the phone was brought home, then the stylist couldn't text their clients. Even though Vagaro does have messaging, again, when we were using the messaging through Vagaro, we would not get notifications when someone sent a message, and the messages weren't all in the client files. So looking at the communication was not easy and not user-friendly. So I was like, this is great. I love that I can go back and listen to phone calls if there was an unhappy client. I love that I could see all of the text messages and the phone calls in each client's profile. And it really did make communication so easy. And I have to say, the support team was great. They were quick to answer. The online booking actually looked beautiful on our website, and our online booking doubled after we switched from Vagaro because it was so user friendly. But here's the reality, and it's pretty rough. I was paying $650 a month for Zenoti. So, because of the high price point, I had very high expectations as a salon owner because it was probably the most expensive booking system out there. And the difficulty of this booking system was not worth the headache or the price point. I did not feel like it was worth it. And it was a booking system built by tech people for tech people. This system, after using it for 4 months and being on hours of phone calls with their tech support, and during my onboarding process, I still had no clue how to use the system. Nothing was easy. Nothing was functionally set up. I couldn't figure out how to delete appointments or cancel appointments through the app. My team couldn't figure out the app even after using it for 4 months. The app was super clunky. I couldn't see my team, like the entire calendar to book appointments. And there were other things that I didn't realize I needed. Like, for example, I utilize my Google Calendar for everything. I automatically assume that all booking systems sync with Google Cal. Zenoti did not. Well, it kind of did. It only synced 1 week at a time. So my calendar would only download 1 week of appointments. So when I was going to book appointments with future guests, because my clients book 8 weeks out, I couldn't access all of my calendars in one place, which was a huge issue for me. And then I'd have to go in and manually add my appointments from Zenoti into my Google Cal, which again was a waste of time. This system was so clicky and takes so much time to do one simple task that I was like, I can't use this system anymore. Even to delete retail products was like 4 clicks. You needed subcategories and categories to set up a service. It was like all of these unnecessary steps that took so much time that were just so frustrating for me. And after not being able to do things seamless and easily, and not to mention our data transfer, when they did it, created duplicates. It took forever to fix because I couldn't figure out the system. They did not have an easy way to search how to figure things out through their Zenoti Academy, through simple keywords, that I was just like, I need out of the system. And I felt like the system was awful, to be honest. It was probably the worst booking system I have ever used. And it sounded so good in theory. And this is why it's so important for you to have the right questions and for you to understand what your business needs and understand if a system is simple or if it's not. Because it was also glitchy. And for the price point, I felt like this should not be happening. Should not have this many issues for the amount of money I'm paying. I shouldn't have to do this many clicks to complete one simple task. And I had a running list of issues. I think there were 35 times that I had to reach out to support in 4 months because I couldn't figure out the system. And there were things that were going wrong in the system that were just unacceptable. And if they had a good education platform that was very searchable for me to figure things out on my own, I think it would have been much easier. But their Zenoti University, again, was awful. Zenoti had potential, but it just wasn't there. And finally, I want to talk about Boulevard. As I was going through my struggles with Boulevard, they sent me a beautiful package, and this is where they won me. And I was so excited to start working for them because I was like, damn, this system, like these people have great customer service. So they sent me a beautiful candle, which provoked conversation. And I set up a call with one of their sales reps, and the call went really well. Again, I did not have a clear list of things that my business needed. I have to say, working with Zenoti gave me a very clear understanding of the things my business did and did not need. And that helped me ask the right questions with Boulevard. But I think I went into Boulevard thinking that they had the same capabilities as Vagaro, and they didn't. So the best part of Boulevard is that it is so easy to use. I did not have to watch one video or do one call to figure out how to set up the appointments, how to put my stylist in, how to change appointments. It literally was the simplest system, actually more, I would say, easy to use than Vagaro. And what I liked about Boulevard is that their online booking widget is on your website. So people never leave your website to go and book appointment, which is great for your SEO. And they caught my attention with their marketing, and they really worked with me after my bad experience with Zenoti. They offered me so many perks and benefits to join. Like they comped my onboarding or my data transfer, which we're going to go into that because I'm not happy with Boulevard either. And they worked with me on pricing, and they were very flexible in that way, which I thought was great because I was like, wow, this company really wants me to use their system, and it showed. And their customer service was incredible until I signed my contract. And I want to talk about the issues that I've had with onboarding with Boulevard. So I also want to state that Boulevard's price point isn't great. I mean, I think it's like $400 a month, which is double the cost of Vagaro. And Vagaro's capabilities, their reports, Vagaro's so robust for the price point that you actually are charged. And I love that Vagaro charges per stylist. So the more stylists you have, the more expensive it is, which is great for a small business. So the price point fluctuates with the amount of team members you have, and that's not the case for Boulevard. Boulevard was a flat monthly fee. One of the things that I felt about Boulevard is that they kind of nickel and dime you a little bit, which is something that I really saw when I was inside of the system. Simple things that I thought should be automatically included in your monthly subscription were not included. And one of those things was pop-up notes. Like, who doesn't have pop-up notes? We use pop-up notes. Maybe they do have pop-up notes, but I've not been able to see where those are, which is something that we use heavily in our business, especially when we have new clients coming in or a client sends pictures. Another thing that I was surprised was you get 2,500 text messages or messaging for clients, which I was like, oh, that's okay. Like in Zenoti, we're roughly using about, I would say 3,000 a month, but that does not include your client notifications when they book an appointment. What system does not include a text message notification when your client books an appointment? That is an extra charge. So the 2,500 messages were for client communication and some of your client text notifications, which I think honestly should be clearly stated in your contract or expressed when you sign. Because again, you have to go up in price for every additional message that you use, which I think is not great. It really is not great. So another thing is that Boulevard, their credit card rate is not great. They do give you the option to do a fee to the client and then take a smaller fee, which ends up being an insane percentage. We do not pass credit card fees off to the guest. It's not something I believe in. I just don't think it's right. I think it's a part of doing business. I think that you should know your pricing and configure your pricing so that that is included. And I think that's another way clients feel like they're being nickeled and dimed. So even though that might be a great option for some, I still don't think that's a great option for my business. And I also think too, like this is where these companies are making their money off of us, right? It's how they are making a profit. And I understand that. I understand that, you're in business to make money. But the fact that I'm going to get charged a $90 fee if I don't use their credit card processing is kind of off-putting. So we've had to finagle where we run my transactions through Boulevard and some of our deposits through Boulevard. And we're still going to continue to use Square. But the extra fees that keep on getting added on and tacked on, again, make me feel like they're nickel and diming me. I also want to say that the app is not my favorite. I can't see my whole team's view when I'm booking appointments outside of the salon. And I want to talk about my data transfer because that was a hot mess. And I want to talk about the person who has actually been onboarding us because I feel like the customer service there has been very lacking. And I'm a big customer service person. I feel like customer service is a lost art. And I feel like as a consumer, I have certain expectations that really have not been met with this booking system. So, data transfer. I was very clear when I started onboarding with Boulevard that Zenoti had really jacked up our data transfer. There were double services. There were stylists in our system that were no longer with us that I could not remove. For the life of me, I could not figure out how to remove the stylist from our stylist list, again, because Zenoti was so hard to use. So when I was onboarding with Boulevard, I said, I would like to do this manually because the information in Zenoti is not correct. I do not know how to erase it. I feel like it would take me forever. And with the simplicity of Boulevard, I said I would like to just do this part of the data transfer myself. So that way, when we transfer over the appointments, everything is going to be in the system, the new system, the right way. My rep was like, no problem. So I uploaded all of our team members. I uploaded our entire calendar of like our services. And I was like, I again was having issues with Zenoti configuring commission. We had some people that were underpaid, couldn't figure out why, had to go through, manually do our commission and do our payroll for a couple months. So I was like, can we move our date up early? And she was like, totally fine. We can absolutely do that for you. I was like, great. This is so amazing. The day of our data transfer, I look in our calendar, no appointments. I was like, well, that's weird. Our data transfer was supposed to be Thursday evening into Friday. There are no appointments in there. I'm not seeing anything. Wasn't done. Okay. Reached out to my Boulevard rep and said, hey, our appointments aren't in there. What's the deal? I thought that this was supposed to be happening. I don't know why the appointments aren't moved over. No response Friday. I was like, okay. So mind you, they have like a messaging app that you use, which has been not easy to use. And it is something that has been frustrating the entire time I'm using it. It's very user-friendly on the computer, but again, I don't have my computer with me. So I'm trying to type out messages in this messaging app that we're supposed to be communicating. It's deleting things. It's not letting me delete words. It's just not working. And I'm not a super tech person, but I'm pretty good at figuring things out when it comes to technology. So I'm like, why is this so glitchy? This is so frustrating. I can't leave messages. I can't copy and paste things. I can't upload photos. It was, again, not easy to use. Do not recommend. So data transfer does not happen. We finally get a response on Monday. And my rep says, well, unfortunately, since you moved the information over for your team and then you moved the information over for your services, we're not able to do the data transfer. So you're going to have to move over every single appointment manually. Y'all, I have like 14 team members. That's a lot of fucking appointments. Crazy, right? I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, we can't move the data transfer, some tech language, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, so in order to move to Boulevard, my only option is to transfer all of the data from Zenoti and have duplicates of everything like I was struggling with in the first place, which was why I was switching from Zenoti, or I have to upload every single appointment on my own. And that's when it started to turn. And I was like, no phone call, just a random message in this messaging app. And for me, if there is a major issue, I would absolutely set up a call. Set up a call. Let's talk about your options. Let's work this through. Just a simple message. No apology, nothing. Like, sorry, I didn't know the information. I didn't realize. It's just you can transfer over the appointments on your own. I was like, okay. And now I have a bad taste in my mouth. I just worked with Zenoti, which was a nightmare experience. Now I'm coming across to another company and my experience isn't great. It was not great. None of our deposits transferred over and our gift cards also did not transfer over, which is another thing we had to do manually. So I sat on it and I was like, do we just want to go back to Vagaro? Because I was this close. I was so close to just going back to Vagaro because after my experience with Boulevard, I realized there is no perfect booking system. Every booking system is going to have their issues. And to be honest, after my experience, I feel like Vagaro is the best option, especially for the amount that you're paying, the price point. You cannot beat the robust system for the amount that you're paying. And at least they had good customer service. Not to mention that my rep almost missed one of our calls because I'm assuming she forgot. I was waiting on Zoom and I was waiting there for 10 to 15 minutes. She didn't show. So I messaged in the messaging app, hey, are you going to jump on today's call? And then she was in her car driving to pick up her kid, which I understand. Like, shit happens. People forget things. But I think it was the compounding issues that I was like, just so irritated. So irritated with the experience that I had after I signed my contract. And not to mention that the time response when we had a couple things that needed immediate attention were 24 to 48 hours. One, we had a very serious question about the booking link because there was an issue with our booking link. And then also I was having an issue where not all of our stylists were popping up for certain services when we were adding a specific add-on. 24 to 48 hours. I was like, okay, this has not left me with a great experience and I'm going to use it. We're going to try it out. But I honestly think if it isn't living up to my expectations, just going to go back to Vagaro because, again, at least we get good customer support. And I had asked our rep for the email to her manager, a higher up, because I wanted to share my experience and to share honestly, the not so great time that I was having while onboarding. And I had to ask 4 times to get a manager's email address to share my issues, which was another thing that was very frustrating to me. She was just like, oh, you'll get a survey, which I never received the survey, by the way, to give your feedback. And you can go to a place on your Boulevard website to make suggestions on how we can improve things. And that was not what I was asking. I was asking for an email address to really share the unsatisfactory experience that I had when I was going through this onboarding experience, especially with this rep. Now, I don't know if she was overbooked. She had too many accounts on her plate. I don't know if she just was new and didn't have all the information, especially when it came to actually transferring over the data. I'm not sure what the experience was, but I just want to state that every single company is going to have problems. As a salon owner, there are always issues. As a business owner, there are always issues. It's not the issues that are the problem. The problem is, and the main focus is, how do we handle the issues? And I think with this person, she was continually telling me how busy she was. My schedule fills up fast. I'm very busy right now. I felt rushed. I felt like my account wasn't important because she had a lot of other accounts she was dealing with. And it was something that just left a bad taste in my mouth. And especially, again, $400 a month isn't super expensive, but it is expensive. That's a big investment for a small business. And to not receive the level of customer experience that I expected was, again, something that was just kind of meh. So, to wrap things up and to remind all of you who are running salons, there is no perfect system. What's important to you? Is saving money and a good price point important to you? Are certain functionalities and capabilities important to you? Is online booking a main importance to your business? You have to dial in and find out what is important to you as a salon owner before you decide to make a switch. You really need to understand what your business needs so you can find the right booking system that has all of those capabilities. Because you assume that these capabilities will be included with every single booking system, but they aren't. And you need to get very clear on what those are for you before you decide to make the switch. So, each system has its strengths, but none of them have solved everything for me. Vagaro was strong on the back end. Square was affordable and reliable for affordable processing and not reliable in other areas. Zenoti looked great for clients, but was almost impossible for me and my team to use. And Boulevard was easy and it's expensive and it's still glitchy. And the truth is there's a gap in our industry and booking systems should be seamless, intuitive, and reliable for both salon owners and clients. And we just don't have that perfect solution yet. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I would love for you to share this episode with your salon owner bestie. And just to remind you that before you make a big switch in your business, before you do any changes that are going to disrupt your team, disrupt your client experience, do your research. Do your research. And thank you for listening. And if you loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen. And hopefully this podcast episode was beneficial to you and will really help you make an educated decision before you decide to switch booking systems. Thanks for tuning in to the Elevate podcast. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. The Elevate podcast is hosted by me, Patricia Nowakowski, and is produced by Opulent Beauty Pro. To receive my free business guides, visit opulentbeautypro.com/free or click the link in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram at Opulent Beauty Pro or at Patricia_Nowakowski_OBS. If you love this show, please consider subscribing and we will see you next week.